This is Live Bet Sunday on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Scott Seidenberg back here with you, Live Bet Sunday, here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. As look, I'll never give up on a bet, no matter how bad it looks. I'm always an optimist, but I think we're smoked on this Magic team total. Now, the Celtics going over 103.5, I think that could still happen. Celtics have jumped out. They scored 5 points already in the fourth quarter, but the Magic just don't. Magic are making shots. And I just tweeted this out. You guys can follow me on Twitter, @ScottsOnAir. Their ability to score in the final minutes of the quarter is going to be the reason that we lose this bet. 7 points in the final 66 seconds of the first quarter and 6 points in the final 70 seconds of the third quarter. That is 13 points in 2 minutes of gameplay. Can't have that when you bet a team total to go under. But we will continue to sweat this out here throughout this fourth quarter. Sweating it with me is going to be our good friend Munaf Manji from pregame.com, hosts the NBA pod and a bunch of other podcasts courtesy of the Pregame Podcast Network, joining us on the Progressive Guest Line. Munaf, what are you on in this game that you're sweating out? I told you already I'm on the Magic team total to go under 95.5. Live number right now is at 97.5. And I am on the Celtics team total to go over 103.5. Live number right now, 104.5.
Yeah, I'm on that Celtics team total over with you. I have the 104.5, so I need to see them start knocking down some shots here, Scott. Hopefully Tatum, Brown, Porzingis can get hot, so I'm on that. And then I did have Celtics minus 7.5 early in the day here, so not looking too good right now. Hopefully there's a drought here for the Magic for a couple minutes, and we can start sweating out your team total under, and then hopefully Celtics score some points in that span there. But yeah, like you said, the sweat is on, my man.
I mean, we've seen this time and time again in the NBA. We've had these fourth quarters where it winds up being a 28-16 fourth quarter or a 32-19 fourth quarter in favor of one team. I mean, that's all I'm asking here. I just want the Celtics to just go, how about a 30-15 fourth quarter win for the Boston Celtics? That would be nice here. But Munaf, let's kind of look at this series on the basis of an either-or result in this game. Celtics, let's say the Celtics win this game. They take the 3-1 series lead. How do we feel about them going home to close out this series? On the flip side, if they lose a second consecutive game, and if Orlando is able to come back here and win this game, and right now it's 84-81, what does this tell you about what's going to happen in the series?
Yeah, I think either way I'll be on Boston at home. This is a championship team, obviously, winning it from last season, right? And I think they'll make the proper adjustments they need to make. And look, when we talk about this Magic team, it's two guys that are really the focal points. It's Paolo Banchero, it's Franz Wagner. That's not a secret. And I always say that, role players tend to play better at home, especially in the playoffs. And I think that's what we've seen from the Magic tonight. We saw that in Game 3. But when Boston gets back home, they've been really good, especially in the playoffs there. So I know they're dealing with some injuries. Jason Tatum missed Game 3 with the wrist injury. I know Jaylen Brown's battling some things there as well, dislocated finger. Jrue Holiday with the hamstring. So, they're banged up a little bit. But when it comes down to when Boston gets at home, I think their depth will just be too much. And this is exactly why you want to have depth when you're a championship caliber team, right? Because if one player's injured or not having a great night, you can have 2 or 3 other players step up. If Jason Tatum's having a bad night, if Brown's having a bad night, you have Porzingis, you had Derek White, you have Jrue Holiday, you have the bench coming, or the depth off the bench there for you. So I think the team is going to be okay. Magic were one of the better defensive teams during the regular season, Scott, and then, they've been really good at home as well. But when it comes down to it on the road, I think that, Magic may fold there, but I think I will be on Boston in Game 5 when they do get back to Boston.
Well, 84-82. Celtics leading the Magic with 8.5 minutes left in regulation. At this point, I'm going to lose both of these bets. Celtics are going to go under and the Magic are going to go over. So this is not going to be a good result should this continue here in this game. Let's turn our attention, Munaf, to the late game of tonight. It is game number 4 between the Pacers and the Bucks from Milwaukee. A very impressive second half for the Bucks to avoid the 3-0 hole and put themselves back in this series. What's your take on this game with the Bucks laying 3.5 points?
Yeah, the Bucks have been a second half team, and like you mentioned, when they had to come from behind in Game 3 to get on the board, and that was a do or die game, right? Because you go down 3-0. It's a very, very tall order for you to try to come back and win that series. I don't think anybody's done it in NBA history, but give Giannis, give Dame, give the team a lot of credit for coming back. They made the second half adjustments. The one thing I really do like about this Bucks team, especially at home, is the under. It's been a very, very profitable angle for this Bucks team. They get off to really slow starts, especially offensively. And I've said this a lot, Scott, that when we talk about great head coaches, they make those proper adjustments. Now, Doc Rivers is a different conversation when we talk about great head coaches, but they have the talent, right? You had the highest scoring duo in the NBA in Damian Lillard and Giannis. But I do think that they even up this series. This could be a series, Scott, that we see possibly go 7 games that every home team wins their respective game here. So I think this series goes 7, and then the Clippers and the Nuggets in the Western Conference go 7. So at least for tonight, I'd be on the Bucks full game against the spread, and then first half, I would look at the under for this game. Typically, just because the Bucks get off to a little bit of a slow start offensively.
Any player props that you're looking at in this game? We're talking to Munaf Manji from pregame.com joining us on the Progressive Guest Line. I'm Scott Seidenberg. It's Live Bet Sunday here on VSiN. 86-84. Celtics lead the Magic with 7.5 minutes remaining as it's getting really, really sweaty right now. I don't even know why I'm sweating this. It's just a loser. Just chill out, Scott. But Munaf, any player props here in this Bucks game so we can kind of get this loss out of our minds?
Yeah, I think the obvious one is Giannis points and rebounds, or if you just want to play the points to go over 3 games in the series thus far. Game 1, 36, 34 in Game 2, 37 in Game 3. So it's been something that the Pacers haven't had a answer for when it comes to Giannis. When he can get inside the paint, get to the free throw line, they just don't have an answer. And as many times as they've seen him, not only during the regular season, but also the in-season tournament, the NBA Cup, they just don't have an answer for the guy. And when it comes down to it, Giannis knows what he has to do to hold this team getting back to even in this series. I think you just keep on riding the Giannis props. If you want to take the over on the rebounds, but I'll be just looking at his points to get over. Again, like I mentioned, he scored at least 34 points in all 3 games thus far in this series against the Pacers. So that's one I will be on here tonight for the Bucks side of things.
Now, we're being taxed on the rebounds. I was looking at DraftKings earlier, and it's at 13.5, which is absurd. Yeah. But I know that the whole thing that's being talked about with Giannis is the 37 points and the 12 rebound number, like joining elite history with getting those 12 boards in these games. His points prop right now is at 33.5. So again, you're getting taxed there. On the combo line, if we do points and rebounds, it's at, points and rebounds over. I don't like it when they give you that slider. 46.5.
He's gone over in all 3 games.
You know what, though? That's not a crazy number, I don't think. 46.5? If we're saying 34 points and 13 boards, like if I told you his number was 12.5 rebounds, I think you would like that, right? And if I told you the number was, what did I say? Is it 33.5 or 34.5 for the points?
33.5.
33.5. So if you like the 33.5 and over 12.5, that could be a way of getting that number from 13.5 rebounds to 12.5 rebounds. If you like the combo.
Yeah, I don't disagree. And I mean, you look at Giannis; he's made exactly 14 field goals in all 3 games thus far in this series. And we know he's going to get the minutes. Shockingly, he only played 32 minutes in that game on Friday because it did turn into a blowout for the Milwaukee Bucks, but he still was able to put up 37 points and 12 rebounds, 34 and 18 in Game 2, 36 and 12 in Game 1. So he's gone over this number in all 3 games. I think that just continues. You just continue riding on the Giannis props until the wheels fall off. And yes, you mentioned the tax, but I still don't think it's high enough. I was under the impression that, looking at that combo, it might be like 47.5 or 48.5, but he's going to be a monster, like I mentioned. So you just got to keep on riding because we know Dame, he's still trying to get his legs and win back under, right? Because he missed that extensive time. He did only have 7 points in that Game 3 victory there. So it's the Giannis show, honestly, for the Milwaukee Bucks.
Yeah, points, rebounds, and assists for Giannis. You're looking at 53.5. And I mentioned the 46.5 for just the points and the rebounds. All right, Munaf, we got about a minute or so left. If you're looking at the games here on Monday between Cavs, Heat, Rockets, Warriors, what's your best bet between those two games?
Yeah, I think it's the Cavs. This series it's over. It's just too much firepower for this Cleveland Cavaliers team. Miami, I know we talk about Jimmy Buckets obviously not being there anymore, but you saw what they were able to do on the road in Game 3 in a must-win environment for the Miami Heat, and they just went in there and absolutely rolled them. What's the motivation now for this team? It's going to be very, very difficult. And again, for the Cavs, at all three levels, this team can score, whether it's from the three-point line, mid-range, rebounding, defense. This team is locked and loaded. So I think they get the job done -8.5. And for the Rockets and Warriors, continue riding that under trend. These two teams are very, very good defensively. They don't play at a fast pace. It's half-court offense. So I'd continue looking at the under 203 between Rockets and the Warriors.
Great stuff, Munaf. Good luck with your bets, and keep your fingers crossed for me, bud.
I will. I'll talk to you, my man. Have a great night.
There he is, Munaf Manji, pregame.com podcast network, host the NBA pod there. Want to remind you guys that ProfitX offering the best odds on baseball all season long. ProfitX, a peer-to-peer exchange available in 40-plus states, so you're going to make your picks against other groups of fans rather than sports books, and exchanges guarantee you the best odds on average by 10 to 20%. Download ProfitX today. Use code VSIN, earn up to $200 in profit cash over your first month.
This is Live Bet Sunday on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Every time I'm out, they pull me back in. And then every time I get back in, they push me back out. I'm Scott Seidenberg. It's Live Bet Sunday here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. You guys know we're sweating out this best bet of the Magic team total to go under 95.5. We also gave out the Celtics team total to go over 103.5 at halftime as our second half best bet. Well, the Magic, they go scoreless for 2 minutes, and I think that we're right back in this. Their live adjusted team total was at 96.5. And I'm thinking, we might actually pull this off. And then, three-pointer made. And then, another shot made. It is now 91-91 with 4 minutes and 15 seconds remaining in the game. And we are now in the official position of losing both bets. Magic team total live is 99.5, juiced to the over. Celtics team total 101.5, not looking good. So that's just, this is the NBA. And I say it happens both positively for you and negatively for you. It can happen positively for you where, hey, you got a team, let's say if this run would have happened on the other side and you had the Celtics and all of a sudden the Celtics hit back-to-back three-pointers and it's a 6-point swing or whatever happens. These runs occur all the time. These bets are never done. So you're never out of a bet, and you certainly have never cashed a bet until the game is officially over. I thought I was dead early when the Magic scored 29 points in the first quarter, only to be brought back to life when they get held to 19 points in the second quarter, only to be dead again when they score 27 in the third quarter, to be brought back to life where with 5 minutes left, they only have 11 points in the fourth quarter, but then 5 points in a matter of seconds on a three-pointer and then another shot. And here we are, 91-91, 4 minutes and 15 seconds left here in regulation. Your live line, Celtics -2.5. They are -230 on the money line. minus 2.5 on the spread. Magic at plus 2.5. You can actually get even money on the Magic plus 2.5. Your live total is at 201.5. So these final 4 minutes will determine this game and determine the status of both of our bets. I tweeted something out earlier. It really is the last minute of each of these quarters that has been the difference in these games. In this game, I should say. At the end of the first quarter, in literally the final minute, 60 seconds, 66 seconds, a minute and 6 seconds left, Magic scores 7 points. And then in the final minute, 10 seconds left or so in the third quarter, the Magic scores 6 points. 13 points in 2 minutes. And that's how we go from a good looking under to an absolutely smoked bet. Speaking of an absolutely smoked bet, anybody that had the Canadiens, like myself, plus 1.5 maybe, feeling good about it after they take a 2-1 lead over the Capitals, well, that lead is now gone. Not only is that lead gone, the Canadiens now trail 3-2. It looks like Manji scores for the Capitals as they take a 3-2 lead with 2 minutes and 47 seconds left to go in regulation. Again, Capitals coming from down 2-1 at the end of the first period. They get the game tying goal from Brendan Duhaime with about 6.5 minutes into the third period, and just now at 16:23 of the third period, Andrew Mangiapane scores the goal, or Mangiapane, whatever we pronounce it. 3-2 is the lead right now for Washington over Montreal. I'm still holding on to the plus 1.5 and would really love to see no empty net goal be scored or the Canadiens to tie it up. But here's something that I will tell you. Forget about my bets here for a moment. There's no live betting opportunities on the board right now, at least not at DraftKings. I'm going to look to see if, because there's an empty net goal, that's why. So the sportsbook is ahead of the television because the TV didn't even come back from commercial yet. But the sportsbook has now flashed, DraftKings has now flashed 4-2 Capitals over the Canadiens. What I was going to say was there's no live betting opportunities right now because it was frozen. But what I look for in these situations is I look for the live total to go over. So yeah, it's 3-2, and your total is not going to be 5.5. It's going to be 6.5, right? Now the 5.5 is you're going to hit that 5.5 once you get that first empty net goal. But what we've seen so far in these playoffs is one empty net goal doesn't mean anything. The team's going to pull the goalie again, and you have a really good chance of getting a second empty net goal. And so what happens is a 3-2 game becomes a 5-2 finish. And so I would actually look at, when you have those situations, I would look at a live total over 6.5, trying to chase some plus money. It's too late now because it's a 4-2. So it's too late now. But if we see this situation happen again, if we see it tonight here in this Kings-Oilers game where it's a 1-goal game with 2 minutes left and you have an opportunity to bet a live total, I would actually go 2 goals above because you might be able to get plus money value on the 2 goals above. And as I mentioned, you have the situation where you can get multiple empty net goals. Something to keep an eye on as we move forward here in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Again, this is a 4-2 game. Capitals leading the Canadiens right now. I would assume, let's see, I can't see. I'm trying to look. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep. Canadiens pull the goaltender again. They'll try to get a goal here. And if they do, the goalie's still going to get pulled. Or the Canadiens will fire it into the empty net and take a 5-2 lead. But this is what I would do, because teams do not stop with the empty net. As I'm looking to see what happens here, Montreal's got possession inside the offensive zone with the empty net, down 4-2, seeing if they could scratch across a goal here, maybe salvage our plus 1.5, or if they don't, or the Capitals, certainly if they get the puck, they'll be shooting it at the empty net and take a 5-2 lead. But this is my advice to you as we move forward in this Stanley Cup playoffs for live betting opportunities. when it is a 1-goal game in the final 3 minutes or so, I would go a live bet total on the over, and I would go over by 2 goals. Because it's not just the one empty net goal. You're likely going to get 2 empty net goals. Oh, and by the way, here's another way that you can hit the over by going over 2 goals. Is you get, and the Capitals do get another empty netter, 5-2. So just like that, the Canadiens had a 2-1 lead going into the third period. Like, these scores don't tell you the full story. This was a 2-1 Canadiens lead. This was a 2-2 game with how much time? 4 minutes left? This was a 2-2 game. And all of a sudden, it becomes a 5-2 finish. These overs are never out of it. How could you bet an under? How? How can we bet an under in the Stanley Cup playoffs? It's almost impossible. It's so hard because of these empty netters. And like I said, you can go with the alternate totals when you have the 1-goal games because you can get the multiple empty netters like we saw in Carolina Devils, like we saw here in the Capitals game against Montreal. But also, what happens if the other team ties it? Now you know you're definitely getting 2 goals. You're not getting just 1. You're definitely getting 2 because the game's tied. We have to have a winner. By the way, I'm going to look up these numbers here. So far in the Stanley Cup playoffs, we are only 17-12 to the over. I feel like it's 18-12 to the over. 18-12 to the over. Still good numbers here. It's just so hard to take an under. You got to pick your spots. You got to believe that you're looking at like a game where, you know, kind of like the Avalanche Stars, where it's been this tightly contested, where multiple games have gone into overtime. That's where you can see it be an under game. Otherwise, my goodness, this was a 2-2 game with 4 minutes left. I'm sorry. If you lost the under in this game, I'm sorry. That is just, what more can we say? What more can you say about it? Just a bad beat, if you will. I'm Scott Seidenberg, always on Twitter at ScottsOnAir, ScottsOnair. We are going to sweat out what we have going on here in this game between the Celtics and the Magic. Right now, 98-92, Celtics lead. 2 minutes, 28 seconds remaining. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. I'm Scott Seidenberg. It's Live Bet Sunday here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
This is Live Bet Sunday on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Scott Seidenberg back here with you. Live Bet Sunday rolls on here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. And what a sweat we are going through. 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Celtics leading the Magic 101-92. Now 101-94. Oh my goodness. I thought for a chance there we'd have something. Or I thought for a second we'd have a chance if maybe the Magic missed that basket, and we'll see. But nope, not to be. 101-94, Celtics lead the Magic. At least maybe we'll hit our Celtics team total over 103.5 if we're going to lose this Magic team total. But, you know, I guess we got to be okay here with a split. But only a minute 30 left, so nothing is guaranteed. We got a minute 30 left, 101-94, Celtics leading the Orlando Magic. Once again, I'm Scott Seidenberg. This is Live Bet Sunday here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. And joining us right now on the Progressive Guest Line is Kevin Rogers, sports betting analyst at ProLine TV, also radio anchor for the Florida Panthers radio network. And let's talk hockey, Kevin. We just saw the Capitals defeat the Canadiens, take a 3-1 series lead. Coming up momentarily, we have the Kings and the Oilers from Edmonton. Edmonton, good response in game number 3 to salvage that and make it a 2-1 series. What are your thoughts on this game number 4 that is about to start?
Well, the scoring in this series, Scott, has been out of control. 11 goals in game 1, 8 goals in game 2, 11 goals in game 3. It's just been crazy so far, and you can't really say the first period totals. They've gone kind of up and down. You had 2 goals in game 1 where LA led 2-0. In fact, LA led 1-0 in game 2, and they've been great as far as not allowing a lot of goals in the first period this season. But then they allowed 2 goals in game 3 in the first period, so that was a little uncharacteristic of LA. I would think maybe you go under in the first period here tonight, that LA would get things a little straighter, at least early on in the game. And the Oilers, they didn't lay down and die after making that incredible comeback last year in the Stanley Cup final, down 3-0 to the Panthers. They tied it at 3, got to game 7 and lost. And, now you got to try to climb the hill again as defending Western Conference champions. They lose the first 2 games to LA, and they come back with that game 3 win. I really don't have an opinion as far as the side in the game, but you see the goals have been aplenty. You would think maybe the scoring gets pulled back a little bit, and Stuart Skinner, doing all he can, or rather Calvin Pickard in for Stuart Skinner, doing all he can. We knew Edmonton had shaky goaltending all season. This is not a surprise. They're trying to get carried by their offense. And again, I think that the best play here is probably first period under. That's the one I take a look at, seeing all these high-scoring games. That probably reverts back here tonight.
Have you been playing a lot of first periods here in the Stanley Cup playoffs?
Yes, and I've been losing a lot of them, so thank you for asking. But no, you know what it is? Here's what's been hard about it, and I guess this is a good transition, what we were discussing before. Winnipeg and St. Louis, every first period total, obviously at 1.5 was shaded towards the under, but not minus 120. It was like minus 130 or minus 140. So you think, okay, these are going to be grinded out first periods. That's not the case with St. Louis and Winnipeg. So far, the first periods have been 2-2 in game 1, 1-1 in game 2, 3-0 in game 3, and then today with St. Louis picking up the 5-1 win, it was 1-1 after 1. So we're seeing a lot of goals early, and the same thing in the Vegas-Minnesota series, that we're seeing a lot of goals early. So it's a little uncharacteristic, and also you can get plus money on some of those first period overs, which in the regular season, it'd go the other way. The over minus 1.5 could be minus 120, minus 130, depending on the game. You're getting like plus 110 on those overs in the first period with Winnipeg and St. Louis. Not so much with Vegas and Minnesota. That's at like minus 110 or so. But still, I'm very surprised we're seeing so many high-scoring first periods.
Yeah, that's a great point, especially at a plus money price to see that occur. It's kind of like betting the Nerfy or the Yerfy, and sometimes people think that it's just a foregone conclusion. You got 2 good pitchers, you're going to get no runs. Sometimes the value is on the yes, and with 2 great goaltenders in the NHL, you might think the value it's on the under, but really you get more money going on the over at a plus money price. Let's talk about a series. Obviously, you are close to there, being a part of the Panthers radio network. Lightning Panthers Game 4 coming up tomorrow, and it's been the road team that has won each game of this series. Florida leading the Lightning 2-1. What happened in Game 3, in your opinion, that may have turned this series around?
Matthew Tkachuk gets the early goal. You're up 1-0. You're feeling really good about yourself if you're the Panthers. Aaron Ekblad is back in the lineup after his long suspension. So you're thinking, all right, now it's all coming together after winning the 2 games on the road. Alexander Barkov came back for Game 3 after that scary hit from Brandon Hagel in Game 2, and Hagel got suspended for Game 3. He'll be back for Game 4 tomorrow. But you think, all right, cruise control of 3-0. Tampa Bay then gets a late goal in the first period, and then all of a sudden, when Tampa Bay gets that second goal, you're thinking, okay, now you kind of woken up the beast a little bit here, and they pull away at the end. Wasn't the finest moment for the Panthers. Still up 2-1 in the series, but now you feel like you've kind of kept the door ajar for this Tampa Bay team. And, this is a terrible opinion, or at least, a thought from me, Scott, is I could see this thing going 6 different ways moving forward in the series. That, if the Panthers win on Monday, all right, I can also see Tampa Bay winning on Monday, making it 2-2, going back to Tampa on Wednesday. That there's just so many different things because of the way these teams play, that you went from a dominating performance in Game 1 for the Panthers and Matthew Tkachuk's return to then the early goal in Game 2 by Nate Schmidt, who's played well in this series. They get an empty netter late, and Bobrovsky was fantastic in Game 2. And then in Game 3, it kind of reverted back where Tampa Bay played well, and the road team, like you mentioned, is 3-0 so far. the way these teams play, it could go so many different ways, and that's why it's so tough to evaluate it, because you have so much scoring punch on each side. You have two fantastic veteran goalies. You have two terrific coaches that any which way, we just haven't seen that close game yet. So I know it was 1-0 in game 2 for the longest time before they emptied that goal, but we really haven't seen, I guess, a back and forth game necessarily with these two teams. It's been domination on one end or the other.
Do you think that there's going to be some sort of retribution from the Lightning for the Tkachuk hit and what occurred in the final 5 minutes of that game in game number 3?
Nothing surprises me, because I feel like these teams are just at each other's throats all the time. And this is kind of like what it was with the Bruins last year, where the Panthers and Bruins, they just kind of got into it all the time. They had developed a rivalry, and this rivalry with the Lightning has gone, I mean, you're in the same state, so that makes it easy to be rivals. But 4th time in 5 years playing in the postseason, the Panthers finally beat them last year in the playoffs. There's just always going to be that tenseness with these two teams. So, you go from the Barkov getting hit and then Tkachuk with the hit in game 3, that there's a lot on each side. So I can't think it's just going to be a clean game coming up in game 4. Who knows what's going to happen, that these teams are still at each other's throats going ahead in the series.
Let's get your thoughts on some of the other series. Tomorrow we have Avalanche Stars, game number 4. To me, it's been a one-sided series when you look at the fact that the Stars, they had a 2-1 lead, Kevin. They only had the lead for a little over a minute of playing time in those first 3 games. The Avalanche, in a must-win for all intents and purposes spot in game number 4, they get that win. Now the series shifts back to Dallas for game number 5. Where do you see this one going?
I think that Colorado, like you said, saved their season in a sense with a convincing win, 4-0. That Landeskog got the goal. He hasn't played in a few years, so that was a big boost for them. And Dallas wins 2 games in overtime. They got to feel very fortunate that it is a 2-2 series and not maybe 3-1 Colorado or even a sweep, because you look at the 2 wins for Colorado, you outscored Dallas 9-1, and then your 2 losses are in overtime. So, and in game 3, they were up 1-0 early and then couldn't score again. So I got to believe that Colorado's probably getting the train back on the track, so to speak, that if they could win game 5 on the road, then you return home for game 6 and maybe close it out there. And seeing the Winnipeg-St. Louis series, how that's turned, where Winnipeg was in control of 2-0. Now St. Louis has come back, that if Colorado can find a way to finish this off quickly, at least in the next 2 games, and hope that Winnipeg-St. Louis can get extended a little bit, then that will help the Avalanche's cause coming up. But still, I got to think that Colorado will bounce back, not bounce back, but at least capitalize, I should say, off of the Game 4 win and go up 3-2 and take the series.
I'm with you there. Deepest roster by far in the NHL and one of the favorites to win the Stanley Cup. Kevin, appreciate the time. Enjoy the game tomorrow. We'll be watching and listening.
Thank you so much, Scott. Appreciate it.
There he is. Check him out there. Kevin Rogers joining us. He is a sports betting analyst for Proline TV, but he's also the radio anchor on the Florida Panthers radio network. Panthers and Lightning, game 4 coming up tomorrow from Sunrise, where the road team has won the first 3 games of this series. Well, the NHL playoffs, the NBA playoffs, they're heating up. The Major League Baseball's in full swing. Guess what? The Kentucky Derby's next week. Don't just watch, you can bet smarter with a VSiN Pro subscription right now. Get VSiN Pro access through August 1st for just $59. That saves you over 33% off the monthly price, and you'll get the daily email with the best bets from the hosts and the guests, the betting splits, and 24/7 live video on the VSiN Watch app. Sign up now, vsin.com/subscribe. This is Live Bet Sunday.
This is Live Bet Sunday on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Scott Seidenberg back here with you, Live Bet Sunday here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. So it is a final now in Orlando. The Celtics win 107-98. So the Celtics win and cover, which means that they improve to now, I believe it is 18-4 ATS after a loss this season. However, the opponent's team total going under falls to 17-5 as the Magic go over 95.5, scoring 98 points. And I joked around with Matt Moore earlier, our guest that joined us from the Action Network, that I was going to blame the the last second layup by the Magic at the end of the first quarter if they finished with 97 points, because that was going to be the reason why we lost the team total. But there was one other point, so they finished with 98. But we did hit the Celtics team total to go over 103.5, the live bet we gave out at the half. So got to be happy with just vigging out on this one, splitting our bets. We are underway in Edmonton, as we also are underway, I should say, in Milwaukee, the Bucks and the Pacers, as that game has just begun, with the Pacers jumping out to a 5-2 lead over the Bucks just barely 2 minutes into that game. And we are underway in Edmonton. Stanley Cup Playoffs resuming here between the Kings and the Oilers, and we are 4 minutes in, and it is a scoreless 0-0 tie. We are on the over in this game, as we have seen a bunch of high-scoring games here in this series and throughout these playoffs, and as witnessed by what we saw earlier in this Canadiens loss to the Capitals, no total is safe. This was a 2-2 game between the Canadiens and the Capitals with 4 minutes left until Washington took the lead 3-2 and then added 2 empty net goals to finish 5-2 and go over the total. So we've had 3 over games today. We've had the Jets and Blues 5-1. That one was at 5, then it went to 5.5. That one went over. Hurricanes with a 5-2 win over the Devils. Kind of the same thing that happened there, where at least, well, it wasn't the same thing where the Hurricanes took a late lead, but the Hurricanes were up 3-0. Then it was 3-2. They scored a goal to make it 4-2, and then added the empty netter to make it 5-2. I also joked about this the other night when the Panthers pulled the goaltender down 4-1 with 5.5 minutes left in the game. And I said, Paul Maurice, their head coach, doesn't care about your under 5.5. Because the over cashed with an empty net goal. 5.5 minutes left, you're down 4-1, and they pulled the goalie. So it's so hard to bet an under in these playoffs. You have to have essentially a shutout or like a low-scoring overtime game. So don't fret if it's 0-0 after 1 or if it's 1-0 after 2. You are always live with the empty net goals. And as I mentioned earlier, if you are considering a live wager, the live overs, especially doing live alternate overs, to me feels like a great way to go about it, because you can get multiple empty net goals, or the team that's trailing winds up tying the game, and then you can go into overtime, and so you get 2 goals instead of just 1 goal. So if you see a situation where you have an opportunity, there's 4 minutes left or so in the game, it is a 1-goal game, you have a live total that is, let's say it's a 3-2 game, and your live total is at 5.5 or 6, maybe it'll probably be 6.5. But I would take a shot going, some alternates to see, you might get multiple empty net goals. Speaking of live totals, no score between the Kings and the Oilers 5 minutes into the first period. Right now you can get over 5.5 at -125. That would be a bet for me. I'm already on the over, so it's not like a double down bet for me. But I would make that bet if you are not already in on this over between the Edmonton Oilers and the Los Angeles Kings that closed at 6.5 here at Circa. Yeah, the under was juiced, but it closed at 6.5. Right now, up on DraftKings, you can get a live total to go over 5.5, and that is a bet that I would make right now. Over 5.5, -125, Kings and the Oilers. Your live money lines, Kings -145. Oilers -145. The Kings are +114. But my best bet right now would be on the live over at 5.5. If you want to wait a little bit more, it's risky, but you can wait a little bit, maybe get reduced vig or get this thing as close to a standard -110 as possible. As I see it's now -115. So there we go. It's gone from -125 to -115 on the over 5.5. This is a play for me right now. Again, over 5.5 goals, live play on the Kings and the Oilers. 14 minutes to go in the first period. We have not got a goal yet, but we are on the over. We have not gotten a goal yet. We have not gotten we had one power play for the Kings, and that was it. But no goals yet, and so over 5.5 is a play right now. I'm Scott Seidenberg. It's Live Bet Sunday here on VSiN, the sports betting network. Speaking of games going on right now, extra innings. We are in the bottom of the 10th inning between the Cubs and the Phillies. Sunday night baseball. Now, this would be a dream scenario for me to fade these teams coming up on Monday. I'm already fading the Sunday night teams anyway that have to travel. So the Sunday night fade this year is 4-0. If all you did was bet against the teams that played on Sunday night baseball and then had to travel to play a game in a different city on Monday, you are 4-0 fading those teams. Well, I hate to break it to you, both the Cubs and the Phillies are off here on Monday. Sorry. No, they do not play. There is no Sunday night fade this week. The Sunday night fade will be back next week, but for this week, there is no Sunday night fade. But this would be the fade scenario. You play into extra innings, and you're on the Sunday night with travel, so that game ends potentially it's going to end a little bit later than originally scheduled. But what if the Phillies scored 2 runs in the top of the 10th? It is a 3-1 ball game. Imagine the Cubs come back here and then they make it 3-3 and it goes to 11 or 12. It just would have been a great scenario for a fade. But right now, live betting numbers, you have the Cubs at plus 700. If you want to wager on them to come back and win, Jordan Romano is in the game for the Phillies. The Cubs with just 3 hits in this game. Aaron Nola, who has had a terrible start to his season, 0-5 with a 6.43 ERA, goes 7 innings, allowing 1 run on 3 hits while striking out 6 and only walking 1, and then 2 perfect innings in relief from Kerkering and Alvarado, and now Romano is in the bottom of the 10th as he strikes out the leadoff batter, and so there is 1 out, bottom of the 10th inning, with the ghost runner on second. Phillies holding a 3-1 lead. If you want to live bet this game, let's see. You can get the Cubs at plus 850 now on a live bet if you think that they're going to come back and win. So we'll keep an eye to see if Jordan Romano can close this out for the Philadelphia Phillies, or if the Cubs have an extra inning come from behind win up their sleeves, as plus 900 now as the market just continues to fluctuate with every single given pitch that occurs here in the bottom of the 10th inning. Still scoreless in Edmonton, the Oilers and the Kings, almost halfway through the first period. The Kings with 6 shots on goal. The Oilers just 2 shots on goal. Nothing about this has changed my opinion whatsoever. Nothing about this game has changed my opinion. I don't care if it is a scoreless first period. I will gladly bet an alternate over if it's a scoreless first period. Right now, speaking of alternate overs, as we monitor the live total, 5.5, and you can get plus 105 on that. Oh, if this first period goes scoreless and you get a 4.5 line out there, it's absolutely an over for me. Absolutely. Right now, plus 114 on the over 5.5. There will be goals in this game. I can tell you that. There will be goals. If you want to bet smarter and not louder, you got to check out the Sharp Plays at sharpplays.com. That's where real bettors go to get ahead. Most of the betting world, it's just noise, chasing steam, copying picks, recycling the same old value plays. They're not sharp, they're just parrots. At the Sharp Plays, that's the source that they're echoing. Since 2011, they've been locked in on what the real pros are betting. Elite Group's sharp money, the kind that actually moves the market. When the Sharp Plays jumps on a side, the line reacts every time. With insider info and powerful AI tools, you're not just guessing, you're getting ahead. Don't take anyone's word for it. Check the receipts. Full betting logs are live on the site. Why not follow the crowd when you can lead it? Visit sharpplays.com. Respected, watched, feared. That's the Sharp Plays. I'm Scott Seidenberg. This is Live Bet Sunday here on VSiN.